All right, this is first session with Oliver. Just kind of exploring things right now. Hello, Oliver. Aren't you cute boy? Yeah. You're very outgoing too. Do you like toys like your brother? He's going crazy for these. What do you think? Yeah, how fun. Oh, yes. Here, cutie boy. We have all laminate flooring down here, so sometimes the first day or two the puppies are getting used to slippy slidey floor. Yeah. In our training space. Oh, aren't you a good boy? I heard that you are a cuddler. Oh, look at you. You got pretty eyes too. You got one blue one? Yeah, kind of a merle eye. Here. Good boy. Oh, we got a ball over here. All right, so what we're gonna start with Oliver today is all the very foundation behaviors. Oh, you like that ball. So I've got a clicker here, and we're gonna use the clicker for training. The clicker is gonna mark the moment in time that the puppy did something that we want or that we like, and then it's always going to be followed with a food reward. So the very first thing that I want to teach Oliver today is that when he hears the sound of the clicker, that he should expect his treat to be coming. So since he's never heard a clicker before, I am going to be sure to not click this directly at Oliver. All that matters is that he hears the sound. He doesn't need to see the clicker. And I'm actually going to start by holding it behind my back, just to make sure that he's not afraid of that noise. So I'm going to click that clicker, and then I'm going to feed him a piece of food. I'm going to make sure that he has a chance to eat that piece, and then I'm going to repeat. So we are going to start our training sessions this week by charging the clicker for 3 to 5 repetitions before we move into our other exercises. There it is. Good boy. And maybe we do that one more time. Good job, buddy. So we just need to do that for the first week. We don't have to do it forever. I just want the dog to start to understand that the sound of the click means that food is coming. Yes, good boy. That was so easy, right? That was so easy. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to teach Oliver how to follow a food lure that's in our hand. So when we train behaviors, we usually start by having food in our hand, and we use that to move our puppy into the position that we want. So I need Oliver to have a really good understanding that when I move food around, that he should follow that. So I'm going to get a few more pieces of treat ready to go, and I've got little treats, but I am still breaking them in half because I like to use the smallest piece that the puppy will work for. These are little babies. Okay, so I'm going to show Oliver that I have the food, and then I'm going to move very slowly because I want Oliver to stay connected to my hand. But after he takes a couple of steps, I'm going to mark that with the clicker and then feed him that piece of food. So I'm just teaching him that when I have food in my hand, we stay connected to it, we follow it. I'll mark that with the clicker, and then I go ahead and feed him. You got it? These little babies eat so slowly sometimes. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times, showing him that I have the piece of food, moving it away, clicking, and feeding. Good boy, Oliver. You got it? Here you go. He's a gentle snack taker. What a good boy. One last time. Now, see how slowly I'm moving because I really want the puppy to stay connected to my food hand. Okay, if we move too fast, we're going to disconnect from the dog. Wow, that one wasn't too bad either. That was not too hard at all, huh? Good boy. Oh, do you like to give kisses? Oh, thank you. You like to. And in between each exercise, we are going to take a little play break. It doesn't even have to be that long. You know, we can do some snuggles, as long as the puppy isn't too playfully over aroused and you don't think that they're going to start biting you. We can do toy play, right? We can do pets. We're just going to take a little break in between each exercise because little baby puppies, their attention span is very short. So I want to make sure, ooh, Oliver's going in for his close-up. Oh, you knocked the camera over. I want to make sure that training stays fun, it's not boring, and it's not too repetitive, and that I don't lose the puppy's attention and focus. You're funny, yeah. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on a little name recognition. So basically I'm going to teach Oliver what his name is. So pretty much the same thing that we did in the last exercise, except now I'm going to pair it with his name. I'm going to have him follow that food reward, pair it with his name, mark it, and then feed him the cookies. So let me get a couple snacks out. You looking around, checking out the space? Okay, here we go. Show him that I have the food. I'm going to have him take a couple steps. Oliver! Click and feed. Hit it again. Show him I have a little cookie. Oliver! Mark with the clicker and feed that treat. Oliver! Wow, very good boy. And last one. Oliver! Whoa, you are so smart. So everything I'm going to do about, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 repetitions max, and then we're going to take a short break. And like your short break literally could just be seconds. It doesn't have to be like 5 minutes or anything. But I just want Oliver to be able to take a moment to sort of absorb everything that just happened, and I'm not making him jump right into the next exercise because I don't want him to get frustrated or bored. Of course, as our puppies get older, you know, we can ask them for more behaviors all in a row as they get a little bit older, a little bit more mature. Good boy, look at your tail wag. Yeah, you do like to give kisses and snuggles, don't you? That's what I was told. Mm-hmm. Good boy. Mm-hmm. It's so sweet. Okay, so far what we've done is we've taught Oliver that the sound of the clicker means that your food is coming. We've taught him to follow a food reward in our hand, and we've also paired that following of the food reward with saying his name so that he starts to learn that his name means good things. So we can feed the dogs from our hand, but I also want to teach puppies that they can get reinforcement from the ground when I cue them to. So this time I'm going to show Oliver that I have a piece of food, and then I'm going to say, get it, and I'm just going to drop it on the ground, point it out for Oliver to go over and get off the ground. Get it! So I'm kind of tossing that cookie on the ground. Right now it's only like 4 to 6 inches away from the dog. It's not very far because I need him to learn, get it, that when I toss food on the ground like that, he can follow it and eat it. Get it! And I'm not chucking these cookies across the room right now because that'd probably be too far, too hard for him to actually go after. So I'm keeping them fairly close. But I'm naming this, get it, so that he knows he's allowed to go and get that cookie one more time. Get it. Good boy. So if we want to be strategic about reinforcements, sometimes we may feed the dog directly from our hand, and sometimes we may toss the cookie on the ground, just kind of depending on the behavior that we're trying to teach the dog. So I want to teach the puppy all these little foundation steps about how they can receive reinforcement, that their name means good things, before I start to move into more complex behaviors like different position changes like sits, downs, and stands, and all those other fun things that we like to teach our dogs. Yeah, that one wasn't too hard either. Oh, there's your chicken. There we go. You want to play a little bit? So the next exercise that we're going to do is called a hand target. You're going to notice that it is very similar to following the food lure, except this time the difference is that I'm going to move a little bit faster. My hand is going to disengage from Oliver. It's not going to stay connected to him the whole time. And what I'm looking for is that the puppy can continue to follow my hand and actually then target his nose to my flat palm. I like to use a nice flat palm for this behavior because it's like a secondary visual cue when they see it that they should bop their nose onto my hand. Okay, so, oh, look, he found the treat pouch. He's like, there's snacks in there. I know it. I know it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to start by showing Oliver that I have the food in my hand, very similar to following the food lure, but watch, I'm going to move a little bit faster. Oliver, touch. When he catches up and I feel his nose on my hand, and right now he's also taking the treat from my hand, that's when I'm going to mark it with the clicker. Oliver, touch. So see how I'm purposefully moving my hand faster away, and then he's catching up and bopping his nose onto my hand. Oliver, touch. So I just did it 3 times in a row with a piece of food in my hand. This time I have no food. Oliver, touch. And as soon as I feel his nose, I am marking that with the clicker, and then I'm going to feed him the treat. All right, so we did 3 repetitions of having a food lure in my hand. The 4th repetition, I had no food in my hand. But I still marked it with the clicker, and I came in with that food reward after he performed the behavior. Okay, so let's start again with another food lure. Oliver, touch. Wow, good boy, so smart. Oliver, touch. Good job. One more time with a food lure, meaning having food in my hand. Oliver, touch. Okay, now this time I'm going to have no food in my target hand. Oliver, touch. As soon as I felt his little nose, I marked that with the clicker. Then I came in with the food to feed him. So this is how we're going to teach all of our behaviors. Is we're going to start, well, a lot of our behaviors, maybe not all of them, but we're going to start with a food lure in our hand. Do that for, maybe 3 or 4 repetitions, whatever the dog needs. And then we're going to try it without the food in our hand, but we're still paying out for the behavior at the end. I'm still rewarding the dog. It's just not in my hand anymore. It's not going to come in until after I've clicked that clicker. Oh boy. All right. The next behavior that we're going to do is a foundation in our mat work. So usually by the end of our 3 weeks here, our puppies are pretty good at going over to their mats, going over to their place, sitting or laying down on it, and staying there while we move around them. So they really get some good foundations in with this mat work. What is this? What is that? So I'm going to kind of move these things out of the way. We've got a little bit more room. I'm going to get some cookies ready. I'm going to take a potty break. Little potty box over there. No, just looking. Okay, well that's your potty box. All right. I'm going to stand up for this one. I'm going to toss my mat down onto the ground, and I'm going to encourage Oliver to come over to it. And when he does, I'm going to mark that with the clicker, and then I'm going to come in with my cookies. And I'm going to do 2 cookies on the mat. Once he eats that second one, I'm going to pick it up from underneath him, and I'm just going to move the mat a couple feet. When he comes over again, I'm going to click the clicker again and set 1 cookie. There's cookie number 2. If you need to in this early stage, you can point out the cookies to them. I'm not really sure where they are. And then I'm going to try to pick the mat up from underneath the puppy before the puppy leaves the mat on their own. Good boy. There's 1. There's the other. So when I say feed 2 cookies on the mat, I'm not putting 2 cookies in a pile. I'm feeding them 1 at a time. Okay, let's do this final repetition. Throw the mat down. Oliver comes over. I mark that with the clicker. There's the first cookie. There's the second cookie. Oh, gotta point that one out to him. He didn't see it. And after he eats that second cookie, I am going to pick this mat up from underneath him before he leaves it on his own. Wow, good job, buddy. Yeah. And again, I just did that for like 4 repetitions. It doesn't need to happen over and over and over and over again, because I don't want the dog to lose interest in the exercise and then he is leaving the mat on his own, or I'm having a hard time calling him over to it. So anywhere from 3 to 5 repetitions is fine, and then we take a little break. Good boy, you are so smart. Also with the mat in this early stage, I don't care if the dog is sitting, standing, or laying down on the mat. Well, all I'm looking for in step 1 is that no matter where we put the mat, the dog wants to come over to it. So your order of operations is mat goes down on the ground, dog comes over to the mat, you mark that with the clicker, then you come in with cookie number 1, cookie number 2, pick the mat up from underneath them. You want that chicken? All right, so we're going to wrap up today's session with a little handling exercise. And we are going to get Oliver dressed in the harness. So we're going to introduce him to the harness. Now, harnesses come in different varieties. This harness needs to slip over their head. So you can see there's a hole right here that their head needs to go through. And puppies aren't born knowing how to let humans dress them up in things. So it is something that we need to teach them to tolerate and hopefully enjoy. So as you can see, I've stuck my hand through that head hole. I'm going to show Oliver that I have some food, and I'm going to lure his head through that hole or keep it still while I get the harness on. So you can see once I slipped it over his head, he's kind of like, what the heck is going on? And that's completely normal. I'm going to try to move him so that you can see what I'm doing again. There we go. I fed him a piece of cookie for getting the harness over his head. The next step is I got to slip his little leg through another hole. Good boy. And I'm going to feed him a cookie for that. Okay, and then I just got to clip this little clip here. There we go. Good job, buddy. And now we've got his harness on. So by pairing this with food, I'm teaching Oliver that this is an okay thing to happen. Hopefully he'll learn to enjoy getting dressed in his harness. And now once it's on, I'm not just going to be like, okay, deal with it. I'm going to move into another exercise here. So he's thinking about the cookies and what we're doing next, and he's not worrying about the fact that he's wearing the funny harness. Okay? And we can also do maybe a couple get it cookies first, just to teach him that he can still move around even though he's wearing something. Get it? Good boy. All right, so the final exercise we're going to do is teach Oliver how to tolerate or hopefully enjoy some light restraint. I've got cookies in one hand, I've got my clicker in the other. Clicker is going to come underneath his belly, just a little bit of light pressure, click that clicker, and then feed him the treat. Okay, we're going to do this a couple of times. With these littles, I'll even kind of, you see how I just very slightly picked his feet up off the ground? These dogs are going to stay small breed dogs. As humans, we like to pick small breed dogs up off the ground a lot. So I want to teach the dogs that that's an okay thing to happen. So now I just switched my hands. Now I've got the food in my left hand and the clicker in my right hand. I want to practice all handling exercises from both sides. Very good boy. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm teaching Oliver to hold still when I need to restrain him a little bit and not to bite me. So these handling exercises are actually really important for teaching puppies not to put their mouths all over us. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time from the opposite side. That last repetition that I did, I actually added in my other hand. I'll explain what I'm doing here this time. I'm going to take my one hand and put it under his abdomen as I have been, but I'm going to take my food hand, I'm going to put it under his chest. Just kind of pick him up a little bit, marking when his feet are off the ground with the clicker. Then I'm feeding the food. Let's do that. Whoops, one more time. Okay, just like that. Good boy. Okay, you want to leave? Now, to get his harness off, we're going to do it the same way that we got it on. Pair it with some food. You can see how much slower he's moving now that he has the harness on, because it's a very bizarre feeling to him. And that's completely normal. So I'm just going to unhook the clip And I'm gonna pull his, oh, come here. You know what, for Oliver, I think I'm gonna put a couple cookies, it's okay, right down on the ground. Look at here, they're right there. Good boy. And if you find that your puppy doesn't like one particular type of harness, there are different types of harnesses out there, so we might try a different harness with Oliver next time. Good boy. And then he gets one cookie for me taking it off from over his head. Look at you, you're wagging your tail again. Yeah. So maybe next time we try a step-in harness for Oliver and see if he tolerates that a little bit better. Good boy. And that is going to wrap up our training session with Oliver.